Let's get ready to story!
Oh! He reaches into his pocket, he pulls out his phone, and what does he see? Nobody plays more Samsung Galaxy 2 than the home of Samsung Galaxy. Oh yes, that's right. This one worked particularly well because many of you, being from this area, have names that are not popular. And so when I look up things, you see the names. There's not famous people with these names. However, Patrick Martin has a name that is, it's like saying glass of milk. However, there were several Patrick Martins to choose from. However, I chose this one. Patrick Henry Martin, born August 19th, 1923. Ooh, Prohibition. Died April 21st, 1987. Not Prohibition. Cold War. Patrick Henry Martin was an American bobsledder who competed in the late 1940s and early 1950s, competing in 2 Winter Olympics. He won 3 medals with a gold 4-man, 1948, and 2 silvers, 2-man and 4-man, both 1952. Martin also won 5 medals at the FBIT World Championships with 2 golds, 4-man, 1949, 1950, and 3 silvers, 2-man, 1950, 1951, 4-man, 1951. Captain Monjumbo, Patrick Martin.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you for that. As you can see, I'm still in shape from the bobsledding. I'm still in medal contention. All right, well, I just call this Road Trip. It's a clever title I came up with when I was brainstorming. The year was 1996. It was October, and I was in college, and I had a lot of money in my pocket at the time, $30 to be exact. And before you scoff at the amount of money that is, this was 96. $30 today would be worth upwards of $40. So I was feeling pretty good. So my friend and I decided we want to go on a road trip to New York City. Now, New York City made sense because I went to college at East Stroudsburg University, or as it's known there, the Harvard of Pennsylvania. New York City is very close to East Stroudsburg. If we left, it'd take us maybe like an hour and 14 minutes to get to New York City, probably 52 if Todd drove. So we decide we want to do this, but there was one slight problem with our plan, just one thing that we needed to take care of first. Neither of us had a car. We had to think of a way to get a car, and we weren't going to let that stand in our way of taking this road trip because we came up with it 5 minutes earlier, and it was a plan now. So we were going to go on this road trip. And we're brainstorming, who has a car? Who has a car? We thought about maybe coming back home to ask our parents to borrow their car, but that made no sense because Scranton's the opposite way of New York City. So all of a sudden it comes to me. John, this guy who lived next door in our dorm, Crazy John as he was known on the floor. And Crazy John was certifiably insane. One night at 3 in the morning when I'm at East Stroudsburg, I hear this sound coming from the hallway, and all I hear is bang, 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 and it sounds like gunshots. I mean, it gets louder every time it bangs, and it wakes me and my roommate Todd, the aforementioned Todd, up, and we're like, what is that? It's coming from the dorm hall, and so I say, I have to figure this out. So I open the door, bang, bang, bang. Crazy John is standing in the hallway with a 5-gallon paint bucket full of baseballs, throwing them at the exit door. I say, John, what the hell are you doing? And he says, matter of factly, I'm trying to hit the fire extinguisher with baseballs. And so it begged the question, which I was all too pleased to ask, why? And he says, dead serious, well, if there's ever a fire in the building and all I have is a bucket of balls, I'm gonna need to access the extinguisher. And to me, or to him, that made perfect sense in his head. In my head, I didn't want to get stabbed in the middle of the night, so I just went to bed without asking any more questions. So that was Crazy John. He's just certifiably insane. So we flip a coin, Todd and I flip a coin to see who's going to ask Crazy John to borrow his new Pontiac Grand Am that he just got. And I was the winner. And being the winner of this entitled me not only to ask Crazy John, but to drive if he said yes. So it wasn't a great prize, but it was just enough to make me want to do it. So I knock on Crazy John's door. He says, come in. And he had a real gravelly voice and like dreadlocked hair. And I walk in and I say, hey, John, Todd and I want to go to New York City. Do you mind if we borrow your car? And he looks at me and he goes, nah, that's all right, if you do me a favor. And I saw he had a bucket of balls next to his chair, so I wasn't going to say no to the favor, so I'm like, yeah, whatever it is. And he said, can we stop at my friend's house in Newark for a minute? Now this favor is actually two favors. One, can we stop at my friend's house in Newark for a minute? And two, hey, do you want to spend the night in New York City with a guy you met a month ago called Crazy John? So of course, I said, sure, we leave at 6. So 6 o'clock rolls around and Todd and I and John all load up into John's Pontiac Grand Am. And I was the driver because Crazy John, quote, had a headache and didn't want to deal with items. To this day, I have no idea what that means. No questions asked. So we start heading to Newark. And as we're going, Todd and I are passing the time. We're just, we come up with this game we call Country Song. And basically the rules of this, if you ever want to play, are you come up with a title to a country song you would sing if you were a country music artist. We're just trying to make each other laugh and pass the time. So I'd turn to him and I'd say, I gave her the ring and she gave me the finger. And he'd chuckle a little and he'd say, how about I changed her oil and she changed my heart. And we go back and forth and my lady's on her menstrual cycle and she just ran over me. And we're laughing, we're having a good time. We get about 8 or 9 rounds into this thing. And from the back seat, Crazy John yells, orange juice! That's my country song! So I just looked at Todd, and he looked at me, and we were like, okay. So we get to Newark, and Crazy John gives us directions to his friend's house. And we get there, and he says, wait in the car. So we did. And 5 minutes doesn't pass, and Crazy John comes running out of the house with a ruffled shirt and one shoe. He gets in the car and just goes, go, 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 go! And not like with the urgency of a bank heist, but just something went down in there he didn't want to be a part of. So we drove to New York City. We get there, we get to New York, and Crazy John informs us that he wants to do his own thing, so meet him in front of this shop. When we're ready to go. So we agree, but I say to Crazy John, how are you going to get around New York City with one shoe? To which he informs me, I have an extra one in the trunk. And he did. And it was a right shoe to go with the right shoe he had on his foot. And it didn't match the other shoe, but he wore it around New York City. So Todd and I wander off because we're going to find cool things for our dorm room. Like I found a Who poster and Todd found a black light. They weren't readily available in East Stroudsburg, so I know it sounds funny, but we were both like, this is a good find. So it's about 11 o'clock, we decide to go back to stand in front of the shop Crazy John decided to have us meet him at, a peep show, by the way. So we're standing there, it seems like an eternity, and Crazy John, after a while, comes walking out with one shoe. And he looks at us and he goes, oh, I lost it in the booth. So I was tired at this point. So we get in the car, and we're traveling back to East Stroudsburg, and we're getting close to the New Jersey, line into Pennsylvania, and we all realize none of us have budgeted the $1 to pay the toll. None of us haven't. So we pull over and we're searching the car. The man who had a spare shoe didn't have $1 in his car. A spare shoe, no $1. So I go up to the toll booth, the most humiliating experience of my life. And I've had a lot of weird toll booth experiences. I went to IKEA once, and I asked the guy what the exit for Conshohocken is, and he literally said to me, where are you going? And I said, IKEA. And he raised both his hands like this and went, IKEA! 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 And that's my second weirdest toll booth experience. This is the weirdest. So I go to the toll booth and I say, I don't have $1. And he takes my license, he copies it, he lets us go, and it was super humiliating, just embarrassing. So we get back to school and we all go to bed, and a couple of weeks goes by. We don't really talk about it much during the weeks, but every time it kind of comes up, we get a chuckle out of it. So a couple of weeks goes by, and it's about 4 in the afternoon, and I'm sitting in my dorm room playing PlayStation. And I hear Crazy John yelling out the window to the rugby players who practice in the field behind our dorm, hey, why don't you play a man's sport? Crazy John, right? And just then the phone rings, and I pick it up, and I say, hello? And I hear, Patrick, this is your mother. Why do I owe the state of New Jersey $1?